This is our Deck Restoration Plus stripper. Our stripper is an excellent product. It actually has a bunch of different products in there to meet today's standards when it comes to the different coatings we run into. We run into water-based, oil-based, hybrids. We've designed a stripper that actually addresses all the different types of coatings. The only thing will vary will be a dwell time. Some products you'll have to let dwell for 20 to 30 minutes, and some of them are more than 30 minutes. Usually 30 to 40 minutes if they're a tough stain to take off, that type of thing. So our Deck Restoration Plus stripper will mix 3:1 to 7:1. Same as our other products, 3:1 on the strong side, 7:1 on the weaker side. Deck Restoration Plus stripper. This is our Deck Restoration Plus stripper. The stripper is the best product on the market. As I alluded to earlier, it has different products in it that really make it what it is, so it can address water-based, oil-based, hybrids, and so forth, and you're just going to vary the dwell time. Here on our training deck, what we did is we stained one of the boards, our Barnegat gray, and we're going to put the stripper on the whole area, and then we're going to rinse it off, and you'll see the result here, but I also want to show you what it does to natural wood, and you'll see how it darkens it up. And we're going to do that now, and we're going to do it just the same way we've done everything else. We're going to pre-wet the wood first. And again, the pre-wetting the wood, what it does is it keeps our product closer to the surface where the growth, where the stain, any sealer is going to be, so it'll be more effective that way. It also prevents us from doing any damage to the wood or scarring or marking up the wood from the product. So again, pre-wet the wood, and then we're going to apply the stripper. As we apply the stripper, you'll see it darken the wood pretty quick, so you really can see where you missed. Now, a lot of things will change with using this stripper, and the fact that dwell times vary. Dwell times will vary different times of the year. If it's cooler earlier in the year or later in the year, you'll want to let it sit a little longer. There's certain, as you get practice with this, some products will need a little longer dwell time. If you have multiple coatings, it'll take a little longer dwell time. And basically what we do, we call it a scuff test. You could use a nylon bristle brush. You take your heel and you just rub it on the surface, and you'll be able to tell when the coating is ready to be rinsed off. So what this does is, this actually has surfactant in it as well. It lifts it up, makes it easier, so low pressure rinse this off. And you can see how it's working now. And we can see it taking the stain off here. It's turning a different color. You can see it working. It's definitely darker. It darkens the wood. When it darkens the wood, you know it's working. And that's what an alkaline product does. So this is what it's doing. What we're gonna do though, we never worry about it, how dark it turns, because what happens is when we put our brightener on, which we're gonna show in another video, the brightener is the second step. That'll make this optimal. It'll bring it right back to its natural beauty. But don't get worried if it darkens up. That's what it's supposed to do. And on some woods, it'll darken to where it's black. Some cedar's gonna be dark. Redwoods turn up really dark like black. So if a customer's home, you may wanna tell them or explain to them it's a two-step process. First step darkens the wood, and then we brighten it back to the natural color, just to forewarn them. And that's our Deck Restoration Plus stripper. Here we are with our Deck Restoration Plus stripper. And here we've let it sit on there now for about 10 to 20 minutes. It looks like it's really doing the job we want on the stain. You can use a brush if you want to agitate it or just to see if it's coming off. If it's not coming off, let it sit for 10 more minutes and then do your rinsing. But you can see how it darkens up the wood, and you can see the wood behind it that's wet and how much darker it got. The stripper is going to darken the wood. Don't worry about it, it's what it's supposed to work. Then we'll put on our brightener, it'll bring back that optimal look, and we'll show that in another video. But for now, what we're doing is, we have our stripper on there, it's sat for a long time. We need to rinse, rinse, rinse again until we make sure all the stripper's removed. So here we go, now we're gonna rinse off. Again, real easy, 6 to 12 inches away from the wood. And we're just watching the magic. That was our gray stain we had on there. And you'll see that stain's coming off. And again, we're gonna rinse, rinse until we can't rinse anything off again. Get all the suds off of there. We wanna make sure that we rinse really well. If we don't rinse well, what happens is, when we apply the brightener, it can actually form a salt, and you'll get a white haze on it. So what you wanna do is make sure that you rinse off really, really well. The product is excellent. You can see what it does. It really brings the wood up real nice. It restores the wood. It also takes off the product and the stain. Just for reference, a lot of people talk about they don't get water-based stains off, they don't come off, blah, blah, blah. Our stripper takes off water-based, and it just did. That took off our Barnegat Gray, which, just real quick on our stains are penetrating water-based stains. They're penetrating, not film forming, so they kind of work like an oil. Can be applied to wet or dry wood. That's what we used here. That's what that gray stain was, and that's what we just stripped off. So for the people that don't think that water-based can be stripped off, if you have the right stripper, you can get the job done. And that's what our Deck Restoration Plus wood stripper does. It's the right product for these type of coatings and any coatings. Okay, we've already stripped the wood here. We've taken off our gray stain. The wood is dark. That's what happens with our stripper. It's going to darken the wood. We're now going to apply our Deck Restoration Plus Brightener. The Brightener is going to bring back that natural color of the wood, and you'll see it work almost instantaneously. And this is the great thing, is it's going to match up this brighter wood over here and behind. And what it does is, as it brightens it up, it's going to bring it back the natural look of the wood. It's going to be the finishing touch. It's going to give it that optimal look. This is what restoration is all about. It's a step one and a step two. So they're going to clean, we're going to strip, we're going to apply our brightener, we're going to bring back the natural color of the wood. As we're doing this, and you can see it lightening up, it happens very quickly. So we're going to know anything we missed. We'll have a good idea of what the wood's going to look like consistency-wise and so forth. And then when it dries, it's going to look amazing. And we're going to be ready to apply our Deck Restoration Plus Deck and Wood Stain.